Good morning, everybody. My name is Deborah Byrne. I'm Deborah Byrne Psychology Services, known across social media as psychology. This morning I'm going to talk about this week's blog, which is all about muscular dystrophy. I'm going to focus mainly for parents this morning. I do go through what muscular dystrophy is, the causes, treatments and diagnosis and things like that. I go into all of that in much more detail in the blog, but this morning I'm going to actually focus on caring for a child. If you're a parent and you're caring for a child and you're a beginner and you don't know what to do. So if you're a beginning parent and you don't know what to do next, that's what I'm going to focus on mainly this morning. So briefly though, what is muscular dystrophy? Muscular dystrophy is about it's about a genetic disease. It's a disability, of course, but it is in Ireland and the UK. It's recognised as 30 different genetic diseases that can cause muscle wasting or muscle loss in an individual. Now, in the US, they actually they are saying that it's pushed up to closer to 60. So, you can investigate that further yourselves and see the different types. One in 1,000 people are affected by this disease, and the symptoms, of course, will vary according to the type of disease that it is. As I said, there's about between 30 and 60, depending on where you're looking. If you're looking in Ireland at Muscular Dystrophy Ireland, then they're saying 30. If you look in the US, they're saying it can be up to 60 different diseases, genetic disease. So I have taken a few of the top most common ones that they all agree on, and I have listed those out. I've listed them out in terms of what they are and who they affect, whether it's male or female or whether it's both. And then you can go and check. There are more links available then out to the different organisations around the world that deal with muscular dystrophy or disabilities, in fact. Do check those out. They're at the end of the blog, so you can find out more information about the symptoms as they relate to your particular genetic disease. Now, the most common form that they talk about does affect, and why I want to highlight this one is this one affects one, kind of young males and only males. It usually starts around 1 year of age. You'll start to notice the symptoms kind of between 1 and 3. But why I'm saying that is because some of muscular dystrophy doesn't occur, in fact, until middle age. Some affect women and men, and some only affect men. So that's why I'm just highlighting that. So if your child, it can affect children, but it may not kick in until you are much older, until you're middle-aged and older. So there are so many different forms of this around. So as I said, the causes, any complications and treatments and diagnosis, I have listed that out all in the blog, so do check that out. And now I'm going to come to what I really want to talk about this morning, and that is my focus is on parents. And as a parent of a disabled child, my first and always advice to people is, if you suspect that your child has any sort of disability, if you suspect your child has muscular dystrophy, whether it's kicked in as a young small child, a toddler, or it is kicking in as a teenager, which another form can kick in at that stage, your first port of call always is your GP. So please do that. Go to GP, explain the symptoms, explain what you think is happening, and they will then refer you on. They'll do some tests, they'll do some blood tests, things like that, but then they will refer you on for diagnosis to a specialist. Now just be patient, because this diagnosis can take time, so it can be a very stressful time for you and the family. So do have some self-care for yourself, do some stress reduction, and be patient. It can take time for this diagnosis to come through. And in saying that, so you have a diagnosis, so what do you do next? It's very hard on the family It's very stressful. And why it becomes more stressful is because, anybody who has a disabled child will tell you, and I can tell you from experience, I have 5 children and they have all have various disabilities. So it's very hard and very stressful because you have to fight for the tests first, and then you get the diagnosis, and then people aren't telling you information, and you have to fight for the treatment, and you have to fight constantly, to find out what your rights and entitlements are because you're not being told. All very, very stressful. So, as I always say, self-care, hugely important. Setting boundaries is hugely important, and reducing your stress levels is hugely important. And last week I talked about how you can handle, the family and a child, and telling a child. I spoke about all that. So all that information is important, and you need to be able to talk to a child when they do get a diagnosis. And I talked about, how you can handle siblings and other family members. I talked about all that last week, so do check out my vlog, as I said, my Facebook Live from last week, and I go into a bit more detail in this. This is just solely for you as parents this morning. The best thing you can do is get support, okay? You'll get support. You can do it in 2 ways. There's an online group called Able Hour, and it's on Twitter. You can set up an account. You don't even have to use your real name. Set up an account, and you can go on there and you can talk to people who have disabilities, who are parents of disabled people, and you can get some information from them. You can put out questions. It's on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. and that's GMT time, and it's hashtag Able Hour. So do check them out. Also, contacting other parents. So how can you contact other parents? If it's muscular dystrophy, you can go in and you go to Muscular Dystrophy Ireland. I have the link out in the blog, as I said. And if you're not in Ireland, you can go down and have a look. I have links out to other organisations in Australia, in America and things like that. You can go and have a look at their links out to the parents, out to their organisations, and they will have links to support groups in person. And why I say to you to talk to people in person, and why you need that support. Other parents are a wealth of information. They've been there, they've been through the mill. They know their rights and entitlements. They know where you can go get the support. They know all the information that you need. So talking to these people they have this whole wealth of information. The only thing I will say to you is don't get caught up in somebody else's drama. And don't go down the rabbit hole. And I'll talk about the rabbit hole in a minute. The next thing I suggest to parents is you have to let go of the guilt, the anger, the fears, because your child needs you. Your child needs you to be in top game. And in order to let go, you're going to feel guilty. You're going to be angry. You're going to go through a grieving process almost. And what I say to people is, go and talk to somebody. That's when you need the counselling. You need to go and talk to somebody to get you back on track, to help you put things into perspective, and to be able to be more empowered so you can help your child. Now, talking about the rabbit hole, learn all you can. Talking to parents will give you, the ideas of, what supports are out there, what you're entitled to, things like that. But also contacting, the national organisation they'll be able to tell you about the condition. You must learn as much as you can about the condition, and keep yourself up to date with, treatments. These treatments may be able to help slow down the disease, or they may be able to help prevent complications, things like that. You need to keep on top of it. They will also learning as much as you can and contacting national organisations, and getting involved with other parents helps you learn about supports, aids, financial assistance. All that is very important. It gives you practical advice. That's what you need. You need practical advice, but don't get caught up in other people's drama, as I said, and don't go down the rabbit hole. And why I say don't go down the rabbit hole, when we start, because we have such a mixed bag of emotions, we can start finding out too much information. We can start going and reading every book. We can look at every website. We can look at everything on the net, everything. And then you suddenly, a year can go by and nothing practical has been done, and you suddenly realize, oh my God, nothing is being done for my child, because you've gone down the rabbit hole. That's what going down the rabbit hole means. You go in too much. You go down too much into it. You will learn more and more and more through the years, and that's okay. But at the start, what you need is very basic, information. You need to be getting the services in place. You need to be getting the aids in place. You need to be getting the supports in place. You need to get the treatments in place. You need to find out what financial assistance you can have. And you need to, maybe you're going to be changing routines and help with other siblings. Practical things. You need to think practically. The other thing I'll cover this morning is assessment of need in Ireland, and this relates to Irish law and what happens when you get a diagnosis. You'll need an assessment of need as well done, and it's the HSE is actually legally responsible to do this. Now, what they don't tell you is you've got to go and fill out a form, and I go into it in a bit more detail in the blog, so do check that out. It's right down near the end of the blog, and it's assessment of need and how you can do it and who you can contact. Your local HSE can give you the form that you need to fill out. You need to fill it out and you need to put it in. Once you put it in, they are then under a time frame under which they are legally obliged to get the ball rolling and to do this assessment and to get all the assistance your child needs into place. But they don't tell you this. So that's why I'm telling you. As I said at the start, information is power, and it's also empowering. And when you have it, you can do something with it. So always remember that. And also remember, muscular dystrophy is a disability. So therefore, it's covered under all the Disabilities Acts and the Educational Acts that's there, the Special Needs Education Act. Anything at all to do with that will be covered under all those acts. And that gives you your rights and entitlements. So check those out. Talk to the, Muscular Dystrophy Ireland, or if it's in a different location, talk to the local body, wherever you are. If you're in the United States, if you're in Canada, if you're in Australia, wherever, or other parts of Europe, you will find a group for muscular dystrophy in your country. Talk to them. They will know what your rights and entitlements are in your country and what the procedure is in your country, like we have in Ireland, an assessment of need. So check that out, and if you have any questions, come back to me. I'm more than happy as a parent. I've been there and done that myself. So come back to me and ask me. Just post under this blog or, send me a private message and I will try and get back to you. And I will leave it there for this week. And there is a new blog, of course, coming out on Monday. And I will see you all next Saturday morning as usual. And I'm going to say hello to Deirdre as always, and Colette and Kim and Jennifer. I have to try and remember the few of the ones that are here every single Saturday. They're here every single Saturday morning. So hello, and thank you very much for tuning in as always. And I will see you all again next Saturday morning, and thank you for listening. Goodbye.